Here with Laura Holmes, a recreational therapist, and she is going to present who she is, what she does, and what she does at her company. So we hope this is a great resource to tap clients and anybody else who happens to see this. Laura, we thank you for being here and take it away.
Thanks so much, Olivia. I really appreciate the opportunity to share what I do and what my company does. But I wanted to start off with just talking about how recreation therapy supports stroke survivors, especially with aphasia, because I know that's the primary focus of TAP as well. We'll go ahead and get started. Again, my name is Laura Holmes, and I'm a licensed recreational therapist. And so we're licensed in the state of North Carolina. But then we also have a national certification for certified therapeutic recreation specialist. And basically that both of these licenses and certifications just mean that I completed my training in recreational therapy. I did my internship and then I took a certification exam and I've kept up with my continuing education. So again, this is what I went to school for. It's not just a made-up title. Um, but yes, I'm also passionate about brain injury. And so I've been a certified brain injury specialist for about 6 or 7 years now. But I've worked in brain injury I did my internship in brain injury, so about 12 years. Um, and then last year in 2024, I became Love Your Brain Adapted Yoga Certified, which is specific yoga focused towards the brain injury and stroke population. And in 2023, I started my company, Recreate Yourself, and we are a home and community-based recreation therapy practice. In person, we serve the greater Triangle area. And we also have a recreation therapist out in Asheville as well. And then I'm in Fayetteville once a week too. So I travel quite often. Um, and then we're able to service most states virtually nationwide. Um, there are certain states that require a different specific licensure, but there's about 6 other states that require licensure, but all the other states we can do virtually. So, what is recreational therapy? Most people have never heard of recreation therapy unless maybe they received it at the hospital during their rehabilitation stay. But recreational therapy is a type of therapy that uses specific activities that are prescribed for the person after an assessment. And the focus is to improve physical, emotional, and cognitive, as well as social well-being. So we're really using maybe what you used to enjoy doing or recreational activities that you might have never tried before, but working towards doing um, helping you become more independent and working on these various skills with, again, the ultimate goal of well-being. And we try to be a holistic um, practice. So we're not just focusing on the physical aspect of things, we're really looking at the whole picture to help people become enjoying life better and having a better quality of life. So this is just a little diagram of some of the different activities that we might do. And again, we call it activities, but they're really prescribed to work towards goals. So we have adapted activities. So everything we do, you know, there might, before your injury or stroke, you might have been able to do it independently, but now you might have a physical or cognitive challenge that might be a barrier to participating in activities. So we try to get rid of those barriers or find alternative ways around those barriers so you can still participate in things you like. So, we include drawing, yoga, as I mentioned, cooking, virtual groups, bocce, hand cycling. We've also done some therapeutic volunteering. So these are just some examples of what we've used in our sessions. So how recreation therapy can help, especially for folks who have experienced strokes or a stroke. And I had done a quick search on Google about the top 5 questions stroke survivors have asked um, about challenges that they face. And so we'll start with the first question, which is, will I ever get back to doing the things that I love? So again, after a stroke, You might be dealing with the physical challenges of like hemiparesis or a weakness on one side. You might have aphasia, communication challenges. You might have um, a lack of support because, again, you might have been independent before and now you require support. So, recreation therapy can help with this because we do a full assessment. Oh, goodness. We do a full assessment. Um, I'm on the technological struggle bus, but we do a full assessment to gauge kind of what you did before your injury and kind of what your interests were. We find sometimes, again, people before their injuries might have been working, a workaholic, so maybe they didn't have leisure interests or didn't take time for hobbies or passions. I'm guilty of that. I find myself often uh, using my recreation therapy time to get my hobby time, even though I know that's not healthy. So that's something I need to work on. But just recognizing that sometimes people might not have made time for that, and now they might not be able to work. So they need to find a way to, find their why to continue with living and maybe finding a new passion that can really bring them joy. So again, that's something that might we look at previous hobbies. We can maybe get back to that and adapt it to their current ability. So again, those physical or cognitive deficits, finding ways to adapt the activity to make it so that you can participate in again, or finding new activities that you can participate in um, that you might not even think you could ever have done, or you know, might be an interest that you've always had and make it happen for you. And again, we provide that support and we work towards independence. So we're trying to help you gain confidence in participating and hopefully build independence. And again, it's very personalized in our one-to-one settings. Even in our group settings, we try to go off of what our clients are interested in to schedule what we're going to do in groups. Another question, how can I be independent again? We kind of talked about we might have some cognitive or physical deficits. So we might be relying on our family members or loved ones to help support us. Um, and again, before our injury, especially in brain injury and stroke, you were most likely living an independent lifestyle ahead of time. And now, like the roles are reversed. And so, recreation therapy, we use functional activity-based strategies to improve independence in both mobility, self-care, and decision making. So we kind of think outside the box on how activities can help with this. So with mobility, for example, um, you might have weakness in one side. So we find either a way to strengthen that side or adaptation to do that. So if you like to bike before your injury or stroke, um, we could find an adapted bike to participate in. So like a recumbent bike or electric assist, or sometimes people might need somebody to support them in like a tangent bike. So that's where somebody else is helping you navigate and push the bike. Um, self-care, finding ways to work with your emotional health. It's a big emotional challenge when, your independence has been taken away from you. And so we find ways for you to care for yourself and really build that emotional resilience and find things that bring you joy. And then oftentimes when, you're lacking independence, you're relying on other people to make decisions for you. You might not feel like you have control of your life anymore. So we find ways that you can make decisions. So whether that's choosing the activity that you want to do, um, building quickly in a game, having you decide certain things so that you at least have some choice over something. And then, we kind of try to incorporate that in everyday life, even outside of just the game atmosphere. All of most of our activities, I won't say all of them, but most of them are structured to promote problem solving, motor planning, talking about risk taking in real life situations. So in the hospital when you might have received therapy, it was very structured, maybe worksheets, things like that. But in our home and community-based program, we are doing functional goals and functional participation. So it's something that we want to leave with you that you can continue with. So our whole goal in recreation therapy is to work ourselves out of a job so you don't need us. Um, but again, our main focus is independence and making anything functional. We've made going to the YMCA functional. Breaking down tasks is something that we do in recreation therapy. So it might seem overwhelming at one point, but we kind of break down those tasks to be successful in the little steps, and eventually the bigger tasks seem manageable. Um, Another question of why do I feel so isolated and frustrated after a stroke? Again, we kind of talked about the roles have been reversed. You might be reliant on other people. Your friendships that you had before your injury or stroke might not be a two-way street anymore. You might lose some friendships. Unfortunately, um, we find that's pretty, you know, in the brain injury and stroke community, that's pretty typical because you might not be able to keep up with things as you were before, or communication is a challenge, so you might feel very isolated. So, and that can be frustrating, especially when you used to be able to do something and now you can't do it as easily. So, recreation therapy, we try to focus on social connection through group activities, get you involved in other being involved with other peers. And I know TAP does that as well, so that you don't feel as alone and you're not the only one struggling with this. And it's also a great way to exchange tips and ideas on how other people might have overcome certain barriers or challenges. And then we also work on games, and executive functioning is a big word that's tossed around that might be affected after stroke or brain injury. So really working on those skills to, remain appropriate in conversations, or um, even using the skills that you work with your speech therapist and incorporating them in a group activity. So recreation therapy can help with that as well. And as I kind of mentioned earlier, we really focus on that emotional expression. And so some of the ways we do that is through journaling or creative arts. We also do a lot of mindfulness. I run a group with the Brain Injury Association of South Carolina, and we do a virtual like mindfulness and gentle yoga, chair yoga um, group. And so not only are we taking time for ourselves and that self-care in that time, but we're also developing coping skills and things that we can come back to when we are feeling frustrated. And in that group setting, we're also, supporting each other and comparing challenges, and, telling others like it's okay, like this is normal, like you can get through this, or this is what's worked for me, etc. And that creative, expressive arts, is a safe space to express your frustration, sadness, grief, or joy. And it's just a way to create something and express how you might feel when you don't necessarily have the words to share. Okay, how do you stay motivated during recovery? So oftentimes, again, we've talked about the changes after stroke or brain injury, and there's a big prevalence or a big population of stroke survivors that might deal with anxiety or depression. Again, there's all these life changes. There's role reversals, especially in, marriage, if you were married, and you might, the relationship with your spouse might not be equal anymore. You might have to rely on your spouse for more than you did before. And that can be hard to keep going. And, um, you know, recovery doesn't happen in a second. It takes time, and you may or may not get back to your pre-injury self. So recreation therapy, we try to incorporate the fun. Oftentimes people think recreation therapy is just fun and games, but We try to incorporate it with meaningful goals, and we track the progress that you make through there. Um, so again, the first session, we're doing an assessment, and then we're kind of creating goals. So everything we do is aimed towards those goals, and we can track maybe how much support you might have needed at the beginning to reassessing, and you might not need as much support. Um, Maybe you were inside your house and you were just watching TV all day, and then the first couple weeks you get out for one activity, you last for like an hour, and then maybe after a couple weeks you're asking everybody, what's going on this week? When can I get out? How long can I be out? So we're kind of tracking those tangible gains. Um, and that's just an example. Also, mastering adaptive equipment. Sometimes you need support. You might need hand over hand assistance at the beginning, but maybe eventually you'll get to where you just need minimal assistance, or someone just supervising or setting it up for you as the ultimate goal. And then, of course, therapy, you don't always, um, you might get recreation therapy once, twice a week, or just like speech therapy, physical therapy. You want to get better, you want to do things outside of just that session. And so, recreational therapists, in our group, we also create home and community-based programs based on your client's goal or based on our client's goals. And we make a plan and we make a toolkit for our clients to utilize outside of sessions. So one of the things that we do is we go into the client's home or their community, and that's where we do our sessions. So in a clinic, you work on your goals there, and that's great. But it's sometimes hard to translate it to your home or general community. So when we're working with you in your community, you're learning the resources. We're working on creating those relationships with the community partners. So, for instance, at the YMCA, we have a group that meets weekly at the Finley YMCA, and the employees there know our clients. They're always looking out for them. If someone misses a week or two, they're like, hey, is so and so okay? So they've created that social network and natural supports in their life. And so that's very important. And especially when we're doing community stuff, we're really trying to build supports for you to live independently, and feel comfortable. So here's just pictures from some of our sessions. So this one over here, we're working on a cooking activity, and we're using adaptive tools. So like this knife is kind of like it's a plastic knife, so you're not going to cut yourself, but it also has a thicker handle. We also have another knife that kind of you hold it differently, kind of more like this instead of on top, and that can be helpful. And um, I enjoy cooking and baking, so I'm always trying to get clients involved because that can help, outside of sessions with being able to take care of yourself or even showing love to someone. I always say food is my love language. And so being able to bake your wife cookies or bring somebody um, something can bring somebody joy, but also help you be more independent and not have to rely on others. On this side, we have an adapted fishing event that we collaborated with the Wildlife Federation of North Carolina. And again, we connected folks with um, community resources so that they can do things outside of recreation therapy sessions. But this is just an example of one of the adaptations, and this holds the fishing rod. I see we have it backwards on here, but it holds the fishing rod to his affected hand so that he can use his other hand to turn the reel. Um, Going bowling, finding healthy leisure activities as well. So, sometimes when people have unhealthy coping skills, they might turn to alcohol or, you know, eating or things like that that aren't helpful. So we're really trying to find ways that you can get active, um, be in the community, have that support, and really express those emotions. And, exercise is great for all types of things, hormonally, physically, emotionally, like that. So we're always trying to do active things. And then on this side is an example of a vision board that we were doing and kind of that expressive arts, um, where we were working on our goals for the year. And we had adaptive scissors and we provided support for people that needed it to really find the words that brought meaning to them. And it was a way to kind of make a story and make a plan for the year. And I just wanted to share to wrap up a few of our upcoming opportunities. Again, we do one-to-one like therapeutic sessions, but those can, be prohibited at times. However, we do have some groups coming up, and the first one coming up is called Mind Yourself, and it's a mindfulness and yoga series that's virtual, and it's going to be 4 weeks long. And this is for brain injury, stroke folks, specifically. And it's me and occupational therapists that have come together, and we're gonna kind of build a community and do some breathing, mindfulness, and some gentle movements for that. And then there's also, we've collaborated with a few nonprofits to run the Triangle's first annual Adapted Sports Day, and that's going to be in Cary. We're going to have multiple adapted sports that you can try out, and it's all free. You just have to sign up and sign the waiver. So you can, not only check out, but you can try out all the different sports in all one place. So it should be a great day. And there's also an opportunity to get your own trading card taken at a photo booth that we're going to have. In Wake Forest, I've connected with the Parks and Recreation Department, and we're going to hold a bocce bash. So we're going to use a adapted ramp. So literally all you need movement wise is like be able to go like this, and you can play bocce. And that's basically a ball game where you roll the ball trying to get your ball as close to the white ball as you possibly can. And then it's a great way to strategize, and it's actually a Paralympic sport as well. But that's a way that's completely free to come check it out and try out a new sport. And that's at Joyner Park Community Center. And then I also have two groups coming up with them at the end of May. One is a therapeutic expressions where we'll be doing art and journaling, and it's going to be guided, um, to work on healthy expressions. And it's focused for individuals with brain injuries, strokes, spinal cord injuries, any neuro type disabilities. And then Brain Power Bistro is an adapted cooking class that is also starting May 30th. And so those are going to be every Friday. I think it's 4 weeks long. But I'd love for you guys to check it out. And you can check it out here at recreateyourselfllc.com/events. And so I have the different events that we're participating in um, listed on there and the links to sign up for them. And here's a way you can keep in touch with us moving forward. So I'd love to connect with you all. We're also on Facebook and Instagram. And if you just take away my name and do at Recreate Yourself LLC on any of the social media, you'll be able to get in touch with us and keep up with all the cool things we're doing, and hope that you can be a part of it. And definitely reach out if you have any questions or want more information. So thank you, Olivia.
Thank you. That was great. I will share for all of you to know, we'll share graphics on our Facebook. We will share in our newsletter. I already have the Adaptive Sports Day, which is already next week. I can't believe that. We have our TAP client picnic that Sunday, so that could be a very fun weekend for you to try some adaptive sports Saturday and come to the picnic Sunday. And yeah, lots of ways to get involved. Laura, I like how you said individual. We want to work on what you want to work on, what your passions are. And then there's so many group settings as well to be with others. And you mentioned that's something that we really focus on at TAP is being in a group setting and learning from others and going from there. So thank you. Full disclosure, it did not last on the live stream. So I will
Oh
post
no.
this recorded video. I was watching it the
Okay.
whole time. I'll post the recorded video to Facebook. No problem.
No
But
problem.
will be great. Thank you so much. I'm going to pause my recording.